Welcome back to another episode of Tractor Roy. My name is Trent. With me, got my brother Brady here. We're working on this Polaris 120 snow machine. This is going to be kind of a unique video because it already has a Predator 212 mod. Well, it's a little big for my 4-year-old, so it came with the factory 120. So we're going to swap that 120 back into this thing and kind of bring up some of the upgrades that he did to this 212, the guy we got it from. This will be kind of helpful if you're trying to do a 212 or a 120 to a 212, but there's going to be some stuff we're going to skip out on because, you know, the holes for the mounting bracket are already drilled and things like that. But we will be able to go over some of the upgrades that this thing has had done to it while we're taking it back to factory. Here's under the hood here of what we got going on. Probably what I'm going to do is just go ahead and disconnect all these lines. I'm going to loosen up. There's 4 bolts on the bottom. I think you can see it right here. Yeah, you can see the tops of those 4 grade 8 bolts. Those are going to get removed. I'm going to remove, let's see, the throttle cable, fuel line. Oh, there's for the brake. Got to do the kill switch. These wires, they go from the factory on-off switch up to the 120's original kill switch. On this side, we got a couple of things. This is the aftermarket muffler exhaust, and this is a new clutch with chain and sprocket. So we're going to work on getting this stuff pulled out of here, including that. We're going to pop this clutch off so we can remove it because there's probably, there's some screws. 4 screws holding the engine. So there's 4 bolts holding the engine down and 4 that hold it over to this plate here. While we get all that stuff out, I'm going to have to re-drill some of these rivets that hold this cover, and then I have to get that driven sprocket removed from out of there. So he put on a different driven and a different drive sprocket in addition to a different clutch. The torque band on these things is going to be a little different than that 120 is, so that's why he went with aftermarket chain and sprocket. And this is very loose, as you can tell. Well, we'll kind of get all this stuff yanked out, put the two next to each other, get a good comparison of it, what you would run into going to either direction, either swap or swapping either way. And we'll kind of bring you back then. Okay, this is the midpoint of the video. We got the old one out, we got the new one out and putting the old one back in. If you're looking to go from a swap from this engine to this engine, just play that part of the video backwards. It should take care of everything. So we're going to be putting in this 120 that came with it from the factory. This is the 212 that we just took out. This is the aftermarket upgrade. This is for my 4-year-old. So with that 212, the different parts that we've seen come out of this is the engine itself, and it's missing all the air cleaner box was here, the gas tank was here, and a couple other things. It's got some shims, some aluminum shims, so that way this thing sat at the right orientation under the hood. It's got aftermarket exhaust with it's actually just a straight pipe with a little resonator on the end. Has a 51 tooth driven sprocket compared to the 42 tooth from the factory. And we're different on our drive sprocket too. We got way more teeth on this than the old factory one. It also had an aftermarket clutch with it. So this is the engine we're putting back into it, the factory 120. I think this is all the pieces that we had to take off of that thing that aren't going to work. We got our factory muffler here, our drive and driven sprockets. I mean, the cool thing about this, because we're going back to factory, all the mounting bolts are there. The wiring harness is how it should be. Everything will work. With this, there's a couple of things, like I'll show you here in a second. He had to drill in some mounting holes just where the output shaft is. Just a little bit different. A couple of things like that. Also on this 212, this is where the choke was. The choke cable here was not working on that, and I wasn't going to fix it, but now we're doing all this. So the choke will work on that because it came like that from the factory. and this is the mounting setup. So you can see the original holes there, 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 and there. And then these are the ones that got drilled. Those shims, one spanned between those two holes, and the other spanned between those two. And that thing sat right in here. Oh, I don't know how this is going to work with this smaller one, but it is so much smaller, so there should be enough space here. Otherwise, everything is going to be good. Oh, we also did have to take out that steering shaft. Took off the hood to make it easier, and we took off the steering shaft because there is no way you could get that engine in and out with that thing being there. Muffler or exhaust hole got cut a little bit. But really not too many modifications of these. If you're doing one of these, going from the factory to a 212, I mean, gosh, how long did it take us to get this engine out? Maybe 15 minutes probably? 10, 15 minutes maybe? Something like that. It'd take a little bit longer because you got to drill holes, but it really wouldn't be that bad. So that's where we're at with this thing. You've seen Brady. Where is he? Right there. I don't have my other microphone, so he's speechless, some would say. Anyways, we're at the point, we're back on reassembly, so we're going to stick this thing back in. We're going to have a time lapse just like we did taking it out. I probably won't go over too much detail stuff because it's fairly self-explanatory. Any information you would really want would be when we're putting in that upgrade. I can't imagine many people are actually going to be putting a 120 back in to replace a 212. That was running just fine. As you saw earlier in the video, I mean, it was popping wheelies up with me on it. So we're going to have time lapse going. If we run into anything goofy, because we're going to have to be playing with some stuff, figuring out this box of gaskets, where everything goes, then I'll bring you in on it. But we're just going to do another time lapse, and we'll bring you back for starting it if everything goes well. And we're back. Okay, everything's assembled. Probably the hardest part, I don't know what the hardest part was, but this sprocket was kind of annoying, having to change that out in the clutch. Everything's attached. This is for the headlight. Still got to run our pull cord up there. We are missing the two E-clips that hold the throttle cable in here and the choke cable in here. So we're going to try and start this now because it's Christmas Day and hardware store is closed. We're going to try and start it, see if we got to take that carburetor back apart and clean it, because it's probably been a couple of years since this engine was ran also. Hopefully it's something easy. Okay, here we are. We're going to see if this has all been for nothing or if this thing will run. Okay, you ready? Yep. Oh, also, we got some shimming issues going on, so our clutch is engaged. So we have our track off the ground because it just isn't disconnecting. So we still have some clutch work we got to do. But let's see if we can get this started. Those E-clips are missing also. That's why we don't have cables hooked up. So we got our throttle and choke right here. Ready?
Yep. Oh, E-switch.
Oh. Okay. Ready?
Yep.
Oh! No, it doesn't want to idle. It might still be cold. And we might need to do some adjusting still. But anyways, this thing runs. So I think that's as far as I'm going to go in this video. I've got a bunch of other projects going on. It's just slapping the hood back on this thing, getting those E-clips in, and sticking a little shim inside of that. Hopefully the 4-year-old will be ripping around on this thing, and he's a little scared of the other one. So I might have to do some tuning, but this thing also hasn't ran in a while, so just running it might clear it up. But hopefully you enjoyed this. It's a little different than what I usually work on. We've also got a RMK 800 that I put a 700 engine in. That CDI box isn't working right, so I got to put a new one of those in. So that'll be coming up on the channel here pretty soon too, because winter is very much here. It's ice fishing season. If we usually take side-by-sides ice fishing, but if there gets to be too much snow, then those snow machines are going to be well used. And with this thing running around, we can get that thing going so I can follow my kid out in the field in case he falls off. I don't have to walk out there. I can ride out there. So if you enjoy this kind of content, throw a comment down below. It's a little different than normal, but we got 5, 6 snow machines and like 4 4-wheelers and a couple of side-by-sides. I have a couple of dirt bikes, so we can get a lot of content out of this kind of stuff if you guys are more into, or if you want to see more small engines than just tractors, or, you know, whatever. Let me know. Hit that subscribe button so you can follow along with all the projects we got going. Anyways, hit that thumbs up button. And thanks for watching Tractor Roy. Hope I'll catch you on the next one.